Greetings, my noble knights, as I blaze Templar, and today we are actually preparing for the DBL's first week of playoffs, and we're going up against the Colorado Mamoswines, Eric, and his team of Hoopa, Verizion, Arcanine, Claydol, Flygon, Jolteon, Lycanroc, Riombi, Savali, Sneasel, and of course, Vaporeon. Now, we have won against him before in the past, but that doesn't mean we can sleep on him. We actually came out on a close 2-0, if I remember correctly. And I am bringing a slightly different team this time. Armaldo, which we did not have last time, we are bringing it because it actually deals pretty well with Arcanine. It deals pretty well with a lot of his Pokemon. It doesn't deal great with Verizion, but Rock Slide will do a little bit, not a lot. But again, it's not there to deal with Verizion. Anyway, let's go over our own team. We're actually not bringing a Z mover this week, which is a little unusual for us, but in this case felt like that bag of tricks was used up, and I kind of wanted to abuse a Lolawak. Last week really demonstrated I haven't really been utilizing Marowak well enough, and I think this week would be a great opportunity to abuse just how powerful it really is. And so this time we are going with quite a different spread. Armaldo is our rocker, kind of a defensive pivot slash offensive fighting Pokemon. As you can see, it's kind of a utility mon, which is a lot of the Pokemon in RU is more utility offensive. And Armaldo fits that mold pretty decently. Figgy Berry, so once it gets weakened, it can pop itself back up to not full, but adequate health. Next, Cloyster. This spread I actually ran last time I faced him, at least for the EVs, because they actually work really well. Basically, I'll outspeed anything that's not scarfed, and anything that is scarfed, I'm not outspeeding anyway. So that's why that spread's there. Icicle Spear, Rock Blast, Ice Shard, and Shell Smash Ice Shard, just to pick off things like the Flygon. I don't think Flygon is likely, but if it is, Cloyster can pick it off no problem. Icicle Spear and Rock Blast cover the rest of his team, barring a possibility of, like, Savali Steel, but I don't know. I don't know what Savali he might bring, but it covers most of my bases pretty well. And I'm not running Liquidation because outside of dealing with the Savali Steel, doesn't help me that much, and Stab Icicle Spear overall just does more damage, so I decided to run it this week. Switch things up a little bit. Decided to put the White Herb on instead of the Focus Sash this week as well. Next, we have Marowak Alolan. This week it is just an all-out attacker. It's kind of a simple. Flare Blitz, Shadow Bone, Rock Slide, and Earthquake. It meant, obviously, for Trick Room, and because of that, we're bringing two Trick Roomers, Porygon 2 and Bronzong. And Bronzong is our status Afflictor this week with Wide Lens Hypnosis, so it has semi-reliable accuracy. Just had to buff that Hypnosis as much as possible. And since it's not a Z Trick Room, I can't rely on that option, and not that I'd want to anyway, because it lasts only until you switch, which this Bronzong set kind of is meant to do so. Earthquake and Gyro Ball covers a lot of the threats of the tier. Running minimum speed investment means I'll hit really quite hard, especially as he's a lot of fast Pokemon. And so overall just works really well. Next is Porygon 2. Tri-Attack for the stab, and Shadow Ball to deal with other things. Between those two moves, I hit everything pretty much for neutral to super effective damage. Shadow Ball hits like his Lycanroc, and so on and so forth. A full defensive investment with Recover and Trick Room. Not the most complex spread, of course. Trace there just to pick off some nice little things. I could have gone Adaptability, but with me setting up Trick Rooms, that seems a little silly. I could have gone Download, but that's unreliable. So Trace in its own way. But at least with Trace, I can get some information, and who knows, I might be able to trace a unique and a special ability, like Pickpocket from Sneasel, if it's running that. So, oh no, you knocked off my Violite. I'm just going to Pickpocket your Violite with my my Tri-Attack. That kind of thing. Wait, I think Pickpocket's only physical contact, though, so You get the idea, though. The theory's there. I don't know if that's going to work, but the idea is there, where Trace Intimidate on Arcanine, that sort of thing. So it can work pretty well for us. Puts Arcanine in a slightly more difficult situation because with us intimidating it, it won't be able to do quite as much. Sure, it can stall, but it usually runs Will-O-Wisp, and running a special Porygon 2 means it's not going to mind burn too much. In fact, I'd rather get burned over any other status condition. So, yeah, I don't think Arcanine's going to want to stay in on P2, just because it does pretty well against that. And if it's the Flash Fire variant, we'll do even better, because then it has to rely on close combat, which we can hard switch into Loloac, predicting that, and just kind of pull shenanigans. Or if it's Intimidate, kind of do the same thing, but between a Loloac and Porygon 2. So I get a little bit of synergy between those two. The normal fire ghost kind of thing running around really gives me some opportunities to mess around with him. And even if he does decide to go for something else like Extreme Speed or Flare Blitz, doesn't matter, because one of those things, a Loloac's immune to, the other thing, it resists, so it doesn't matter too much. So again, I think dealing with that works pretty well. Bronzong, like I said, Trick Room as well, Hypnosis. One thing I noticed is Hypnosis Sleep works really well with my team, because putting some key threat to sleep and then bringing a Loloac in as either they're trying to wake up or whatever gives it a nice opportunity just to spam whatever it feels like. Kind of pulling off the Embor sort of nuke, but with ghost typing instead of fighting, which in this case I think is overall a slightly better type advantage, to say the least. Works out pretty well. Plus, again, it's not like I'm relying just on that. Last, of course, is Ampharos Mega. I am running Reflect as kind of a tech-in slot. Last time I ran against him, I was running Light Screen, and looking at his team, I think Reflect would have been the better play. I think I had Reflect on Porygon 2 last time, and I don't have it this time, so I'm only running a single screen, and on Mega Ampharos this time. So it's a little bit different, but that's okay. Volt Switch just to act as a scout and get some switch initiative. Signal Beam is mostly there for the Claydol and possibly the, what do you call it? The Sneasel. I'm tired. Hit it with the Signal Beam as they come in. Thunderbolt's there because, you know, stab, powerful. And so the ground types are dealt with pretty well by Signal Beam. Dark types don't enjoy it. So I've got okay coverage there. It's not perfect, of course. There are things that would resist it, but I don't have anything that's completely immune this way, so it works out okay. And then I can get the Volt Switch off. And if I predict right, could work out pretty well, especially since everything else. I would have loved to bring the Xatu again, because I pulled off some amazing plays with Xatu last time between Xatu and a Loloac. But I think he's really going to expect me to want to bring the Xatu again, and he won't want to mess around with that potential shenanigans. And so I think the way that I played Xatu was just so good last time, he's not going to want to mess around with it and risk those kinds of things happening. So I'm not bringing it this week. I'm trying to surprise him a little bit. And so that's the mindset there. He could have forgotten, but I doubt it, because it just was such a really fun play, and he commented on it himself. So I think that's something he's going to remember, and it'll be an interesting battle. But that's the team. Let's see how it does. I believe we've covered our bases pretty well. Armaldo can get rid of the rocks if we need to. It can set up rocks if we need to, which we will. And it hits pretty hard with the max investment, and it's pretty bulky with the max HP. Figgy Berry, there we go. Figgy Berry will keep it in the fight a little longer. I am kind of tempted to run Leftovers, as just that passive residual recovery might be better, so don't be surprised if that change happens. I have to think about that a little bit, but that's the team as of right now, and hopefully we will continue into week 2 of the DBL or CDL playoffs. DBL. I used to be part of the Delta Battle League, and this is kind of like the successor to that, so that's probably why I keep calling it that. So anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.